All right, y'all. Ms. Kazishki here, back for another review of our ecology terms. And first off, I wanted to start with the question asked by your friend, not mine, Levi. Remember I said he wasn't a fun guy. He's a Levi. And yeah, that was a joke from yesterday. So here we go. He said, couldn't a keystone species be any species? Because he's saying, well, if I remove completely the presence of any organism in the wild, isn't that going to cause a change? Isn't it going to be important to the balance of the ecosystem? Wouldn't it cause more than a mild or lame effect? And I can see where he's coming up with that question. So a couple things about keystone species to clarify. Usually the effect of their presence, I'm just going to say keystone species, is greater than their relative numbers. Meaning their population size is not as large as you would think it would have to have a huge role, but it still does. And the best examples of keystone species are either predators, not how you spell predators, of herbivores, or they're what we call ecosystem architects. Kind of hard to spell with my new accent. I don't know, architects, you guys get it. I'm not that intelligent, I just teach biology. So the effect of the keystone species is going to be greater than one would expect given their low population size. The keystone species is going to greatly change the layout of an ecosystem if it's removed. And the examples of keystone species are either predators of herbivores, so that would be like primary consumers. No. Secondary consumers. Because duh, the herbivores are primary consumers. Or ecosystem architects. A couple examples, you can look these up on your own because you're so curious. Predators that serve as keystone species, wolves in Yellowstone. Look that up. Sea otters in the ocean. Look that up. Examples of ecosystem architects, this would be like a beaver. Look that up. All right, now moving on to invasive species. A couple things to remember is that they're usually transplanted due to human misbehavior, right? So humans bring species into different ecosystems all the time just because they want to or because they're not paying attention. They do it by mistake, like on their boats or something. And the key about invasive species is that they have no natural predators in their new environment because they didn't exist there before. So they get there, there's no natural predators, and then their population explodes. And this always has a disruptive effect on an ecosystem's balance. You can imagine why. Resources go down for the organisms that have already been accustomed to living there. So it's clear that the keystone species provides a benefit to ecosystem stability, biodiversity. It's clear that invasive species decrease ecosystem stability and biodiversity. An example of an invasive species, Asian carp. Another example, zebra mussel. Look those up on your own time. All right, lastly, I want to talk about habitat and niche. And this is a question a lot of you had, not about habitat, of course, but about the word niche. And then something that arises from niche partitioning, or really from competition, which results in resource partitioning. So to do that, I'm going to move to the next page, which looks like this. And you don't have this page because I didn't print it before, but just take a look. You can read with me. This makes sense. Habitat, the place where an organism lives. Niche, the role it plays. So this is kind of like the organism's job. The space it takes up, the food, how it affects others, how it affects its environment. So in the PowerPoint, not the one you have, but there's this thing where there's a log and then you click the button and it disappears, trying to be all fancy. Basically, there's a centipede under here. There's a worm under here. There's a millipede under here. And the idea is that they all have the same habitat because they're all living on the same log, y'all. But each have a unique niche. Each are eating different things, and they're changing their environment in different ways, and they're affecting each other in different ways. The good example of this is if we take our habitat, remember our good old B21, that would be our habitat. But you and I, we have different niches. So Miss K, her niche is she's a teacher. Pretty good one, I might add. And you guys, your niche is student. Was going to insert a joke about some of y'all, but I think I'm going to pause. All right, so now that's a little bit easier to understand. But here's something that's really cool about habitats and niches. And then we're going to be done for today, okay? Talk about predation tomorrow. There's a rule in ecology that says no two species of organisms can occupy the same niche. And what that means is that because of competition for resources, organisms of different species will use something called resource partitioning to increase survival chances. So to increase survival chances, organisms, or rather different species, use different resources. And what that means is that they occupy different niches. Oh, man. Well, saved it, y'all. See what I did there? Okay, now, really good example of this is the anoles. Now, some of you may be like, what's an anole? Nobody ever told me what that was. Where did I see it at the zoo once? I don't know. Hang on. An anole's a type of lizard. And you can see in this picture, which is black and white and kind of small, there's anoles that live here, anoles that live here, live here, live here, live here, live here. They occupy different niches because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 species that were studied on this island somewhere. I'm going to show you a video next week. You don't have to know anoles by heart. It's just an example of resource partitioning. Okay? The idea is if this anole decided to live in the same place as this anole, their survival would go down. They'd have access to the same resources, but they'd be in competition. So this anole's survival is enhanced if it just occupies a slightly different region of the ecosystem. Same with all these other ones. All of their survival and reproduction is improved when they organize their behavior, their eating time, what they eat, their reproduction, how they attract their mates. Everything that becomes or that is part of their niche, it's kind of like it's divided up so there's less competition. So I'm going to add right here, resource partitioning. Oh man, I can't spell. Partitioning. Diversifies or separates niches that decreases competition, which increases survival. All right, y'all. That's it. More on this idea next week. Your quiz Friday, summative vocab. You're going to do great. You got all the notes right there, and you've been watching the videos. So you have a good afternoon, and we'll talk soon.